Today's episode is something a little different. My good friend Annie Love and I sat down recently to have an honest chat and reflect on the year that was in this unique crossover episode. We talk honestly about the moments we're grateful for, the challenges that have tested us, and whether we'd actually want to repeat this year again. We discuss family boundaries and how our personal lives and businesses are far more intertwined than we sometimes like to admit. And of course, we look ahead to 2026 through intentions around clarity, simplicity, and making space for what genuinely matters in life, in business, and in the way we show up. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed talking with Annie. Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today.
Mel Daniels.
Annie Love.
So lovely to have this Biz Bestie chat with you to recap 2025.
Likewise, I wouldn't want to have this chat with anyone but you, Annie.
Oh, you're so lovely. That's why I love having you around. All right, now we have prepared a list of questions to talk through to recap our year and start thinking about what's ahead for 2026. So let's do it. Let's dive in. I'm going to start by asking you, if 2025 repeated 5 times in a row, would you be horrified or grateful? And we got this question from We Think Deeply, the account on Instagram. I thought that was such a great question.
Fantastic question. And I would say, when you mentioned to me, like not so long ago, that you had seen this question and you repeated it to me, I was like, whoa, that is such a fantastic question. To think about the year that was, in a way, would you want it again over and over and over? And for me, I don't think that I would be horrified. I don't think I would be grateful, but I think that it's something in between. Because on a very high level, and I think that a lot of people would probably think this as well, but on a very high level, I'm grateful. I'd be grateful that I'm here for another 5 years and I get to do what I love and I get to be there for my family as well. But at exactly the same time, I think that I would be not horrified, but maybe like disappointed. And not disappointed because anything really bad has happened this year, or I haven't necessarily hit my goals, or I haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve, but disappointed because nothing would have changed. And I think that when we take that moment to stop and to reflect and really think about, where we've been this year, what we've learned, how we can grow, how we can do things differently, then I think that that's where the goal probably lies. So, there were some things that I loved about this year. There were some things that was like, yeah, I'd like to park that and not do that again. And I think that this question really makes us stop and reflect. So what about you, Annie? How do you think about that question? Would you be horrified or grateful if 2025 repeated?
Yeah, I love that perspective, Mel. Like you, I think horrified feels far too strong for
Yes.
me. There have been loads and loads of wonderful moments this year, but it also hasn't been my favorite year ever. There's been lots of big energy. This year is the year of the snake. I'm not sure if you're into astrology, but year of the snake, there's a lot of shedding this year. It's the end of a cycle. And I really have felt that. I think that
Mm,
just it's been a big year collectively. Um, I had a really good friend pass away really suddenly in April this year. And I've had some other friends who are navigating just some really big stuff. And, the state of the world, there's a lot going on right now. So yeah, I probably wouldn't want this year to repeat. But I think, like you, I've learnt lots of lessons. And I
mm.
think, it's important to take those lessons and work out what we want to have different for next year.
I love that perspective of this year being the year of the snake and shedding things. I know that a lot of your listeners and mine as well would probably really relate to that, really relate to a cycle of, we've been through some big things worldwide, COVID, all the things that are happening overseas. And I think that to think about this year as a shedding is only a positive thing.
100%.
Love it.
100%. I've got a rogue question for you. Did you have a word of the year?
Don't go rogue on me, Annie. You know I don't like rogue. Yes, I did. To answer your question, I have a vision board just up to my right here, and my word of the year is being. And I was actually thinking about this only today. I was thinking about how I don't want to change my vision board for next year, which is really interesting. Vision boarding for myself and my daughter is a bit of a tradition. At the beginning of every year, we sit down and we cut out some pictures from magazines and, just create something that means something to us. And whilst I love that tradition, I don't think that I'm going to consciously change much on my vision board this year. My vision board is all about, well, some of the words on it are release, space, flow. Everybody has a story, entertain, and my favorite is authenticity awakened. And I don't feel like I've had the opportunity to really live those things this year, but I know that I'm going to have the opportunity next year. Yeah, so being is my word of the year. Do I think that I lived that to some degree? Yes. And, without going into the huge backstory, but, I have had a couple of casual jobs this year on top of my running my business. And I've been able to express myself and I believe live my purpose through different means this year, through those casual jobs. So, in some ways, yes, I have really been myself and really been living life to its fullest, but I want it to be different next year.
Mm,
What about you? What's
beautiful.
what's your word of the year?
My word of the year was trust. And it's so funny that you say that, but I feel a bit the same. Like I
Ah,
actually feel like I'm going to keep that word for the
mm,
coming year. And as much as I definitely do feel like I stepped into that, it feels like it's been a really slow process and I
yeah,
really feel like I need another year to do it.
yeah. And I think that giving yourself that permission is really important to you don't have to do things new every year. Things don't have to
Mm,
be different every year. Let's take into 2026 some of the beautiful things that we've loved and the things that we want to achieve as well. I love that.
totally. We can go deeper.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. What's a moment or situation in the past 12 months that has reminded you why you chose this business journey?
This is an easy one for me. It's so easy. I can just, answer it off the top of my head, and that is being there for my kids. So my eldest did his HSC last year. So this time last year, he had just finished going through all of the exams in New South Wales, Australia, associated with Year 12, and it was a big year. And just recently, in the last couple of months, I have supported my daughter going through her end of year 11 exams. Now, both of my kids are both like amazingly academic and self motivated, and they could have quite easily have got through their exam periods without me. But I think just being there as their support crew and their cheerleaders, even as young adults, I still think that they needed me in that way. So I was there. I could take them to exams and pick them up from exams. And just that drive to and from school, I think can help. like helped them talk anything through that was worrying them, or just, voice things. It's that whole eye contact thing in the car, isn't it? There is no eye contact, so it's easier for them to talk, I think. So yeah, just those things, and being there to kind of like feed them and, give them snacks and all of those sorts of, fun things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I had have had a full-time job. And I feel like even though I had 2 casual jobs, I was able to, like, clear the space, and having my own business meant that I could just work on bits and pieces in those in-between times when I wasn't required to feed them or drive them somewhere. Yeah, so that's a no-brainer question for me. And then in terms of the future as well, I can see having my own business is going to be really great as my parents age. And I think that a lot of our listeners are probably in that same space where we have older children and aging parents, but being able to spend time with them and on the things that they need without the guilt is really important to me. I feel like if I was working full time, then I wouldn't be able to do those things. And hats off to those people who may be listening who are working full time jobs, because it's one hell of a ride. So yeah, being there for my family, I think, has really been special for me this year whilst running a business and having a couple of casual jobs as well. So what about you, Annie? What's a moment or situation that you can think of in the past 12 months that's reminded you why we've chosen this wild and crazy business journey?
Look, I can totally relate to that.
Mm.
And I know that family is a major value for you, and it is
It
for me
is.
as well. But I had this bit of a realization at the beginning of last year
Mm.
beginning of this year, sorry, that I have never, and I think you know this story, I've never put love or family on my core
Yes.
values list
Mhm. Yep.
because I listened to something a long time ago that went, well, love and family, they're kind of there for
Given.
everybody.
Mm.
So you don't need to put them on the list. And therefore I never have. But I had this funny moment earlier this year where I burst into tears with my husband and I was like, family is my highest value. And I'd kind of been almost denying it a little bit, but
Mm.
really it drives so much of what I do. And so, like you, I love being able to be at home with my family for random, teenage conversations when they
Yes.
wander in, or, the other day Charlie came in to the yard when I was having a little break and I was cleaning out the leaves in the pool, and he ended up having a swim and I put my feet in the water and I sat there and we
Mm.
chatted together, and then 2 days later, he came home from school and I was at my desk and he said, "Hey, mum, could you come and sit in the pool with me and we can have a chat again?" And I was like, "Oh, I mean, that's life goals, right? Really?" When a 15-year-old wants to hang out with his mum.
Yeah.
So I absolutely relate to that. And I have a 90-year-old dad and I've spent a lot of time with him
Mm.
this year. And it does make it possible when you have your own business and you have that flexibility of time. And yes, I possibly do sit at my desk, later at night when I have a little bit more capacity, but yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Um, the other thing probably, I mean, it sounds cheesy, but literally every time I sit down and have a coaching call with clients, it reminds me of why I do what I do.
Mm.
It absolutely lights me up. But probably one other thing this year has been that I've had a couple of clients who I worked with years ago that have come back to do some more coaching this year. And that to me is like the gold, when people have had shifts and changes in their life and received value from having that coaching time and then come back for a new phase or a new journey. It was, makes my heart sing.
So beautiful.
So, number 3, where did you grow this year that's not necessarily financial?
Yeah. Oh, wow. So I have definitely grown in confidence, and it's more of an inner confidence. It's not like a showy speak in front of, a room full of people kind of confidence. I think that taking on not one, but two Christmas casual jobs last year has really taught me so much. And for that, I am truly, truly thankful. So I learned that I can learn new things. I can learn new processes. I can learn new tech. I think that, well, maybe I'm speaking for you and all the listeners, but I think that at my age, I'm 50, that you get to a point where sometimes you don't, it's that like inner voice kind of saying that you're not quite good enough and you're probably over the hill and, you might as well just pack your bags now. But for me, it's been really about that inner confidence, saying no to people, being able to keep my boundaries, teaching other people things other than content. So being in a work situation and helping and mentoring younger people, in that area. I this might sound a little crazy as well, but the whole perimenopause thing, my brain goes to mush with people's names, and that really distressed me so much because I was so used to be so good at people's names. Like that used to be my thing, and people go, "Oh yeah, Mel always remembers people's names." And to lose that, to kind of get that fuzzy brain fog feeling when you're trying to, recall someone's name really, really upset me. But I have learned that it is a lot about context, and that when I am face to face with people and having a real connection and conversation with them, I will remember their name. And so I have remembered so many people's names this year. I'm quite happy about that, which has really boosted my confidence. Like I thought I was going downhill or losing the plot, but I think that it's just given me a bit of confidence that it's just about using it or losing it sometimes. And then the last thing in terms of that confidence, that people see me, maybe once again, this is my age, but people see me as a leader. Like there was a situation recently where one of my work environments had a vacancy come up for a team leader, and people were saying to me, "Why didn't you apply for this? You would have been great for the role." I mean, I have my reasons. I didn't want to work in those areas full time because it was a full time role, but to know that people see me in that light, um, I used to see myself in that light when I was much younger, but to see myself in that light now has been a real confidence boost. It's just been absolutely amazing. So, yeah, to end, I guess the short answer to that is I definitely grew in my confidence this year, and it's an internal, quiet confidence rather than that loud, brash confidence. So what about you? Do you think that you've grown this year, and in what space?
Can I just start by saying I
Yeah.
love that. I think that casual Christmas job that has lasted all year, or into next Christmas,
Yeah.
has just had so many gems for you, and I've really
Yes.
loved watching that unfold. So yeah, I love hearing that.
Mm.
For me, I feel like this year I've become clearer in my message around how I support people with Profit First. And,
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
agree.
one of those moments for me was actually being on your podcast earlier in the year and having that conversation. And I just think, there are 45 approximately professional, Profit First professionals in Australia and New Zealand that are certified. And we all approach it slightly differently, and that's okay. And I think probably this year I've really stepped into that, like it's okay for me to talk about it the way I talk about it, and bringing in that more holistic life coaching kind of background to it rather than trying to be an accountant or a bookkeeper when I'm not that.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I think I've been certified for 2 years now, and in the second half of this year I worked out that what I really want is for people to just feel more calm and clear about their business finances, regardless of how much money they're making. And that feels like a nice growth moment.
Mic drop. From an outsider's perspective, I would totally agree with that. I think that the way that you have really stepped into the profit first space from a holistic life coaching perspective, it's really special. It's really needed. And I think that marrying the two is just going to open so many doors for so many more people as well.
Thank you. So, where did resistance show up for you this year? And what do you think it revealed?
Yes. So I think the resistance in my life, I'm going to split this into two sections. The resistance in my life was my inability to let go of at least one of my casual jobs. So, like, I just had to hang on very tightly to both of them. And I think that once I get over this Christmas period, I will realize how crazy it is to have two Christmas casual jobs. What it revealed to me, I don't know. I'm still sitting with that at the moment, but I know that I struggle to let go of things that I really love, that I have enjoyed, and I really do not like making what feels like a big decision. It feels like a big decision to me on so many different levels. So I'm still sitting with that, but that's to be advised. I would say from a business perspective, there has been one thing, and people listening to this may find this very surprising, but it's been my podcast. It's been my podcast. I have felt so much resistance to recording them, feeling maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome, maybe feeling a little bit rushed because I didn't have enough time, maybe feeling a little bit of an obligation that I have to do it. But I think that this has made me realize that I need to listen to myself. I listen to my teachings a little bit more. How can I make this easier? How can I get back to creating content that I really, really love? And it's meant that I have going to make changes to the podcast. You heard it first here. I'm going to make changes to the podcast in 2026. So changing the name of the podcast. I'm going to change the look of the podcast. I'm going to change the format of the podcast as well. Mainly because I feel like the podcast is something that I really love and I really enjoy having these types of conversations with people. So there'll be a lot more of those. And, blocking out that noise that, that's the wrong thing to do. You should really focus on your solo episodes. But this is what I love and this is what I enjoy the most. So I will be leaning into that next year. And I know that I'm going to have the time and the energy to do that next year as well, because I am going to get rid of one of my casual jobs. I promise.
You also heard that here first.
What about you? What about you, Annie? Any resistance?
Oh, so much resistance this year. I think for me, like I didn't really feel like I got my mojo back after our Christmas break. We went on a driving, what do you call it? A road trip last
Yeah.
Christmas with the kids, down to Melbourne and back. And it was really great. Had a great time. Came back and just didn't really find my feet again when it came to work. So I was coaching with clients kind of in the background, but I totally didn't produce a podcast episode for a really long time. Um and yeah, just had a really big break from content and showing up
Mm.
online, probably until about July, actually. Um, when I look back over the year, I think, it was really full. I was very busy living life,
Mm.
but I was also really grateful that some of that energy for creating content came back to me, halfway through the year. And I have, approached things with a little bit of renewed enthusiasm. But
Mm.
yeah, I really felt like I lost it a lot this year.
Mm. And I think that a lot of people feel that at most times during their business journey as well. They feel like they might have lost their way a little bit at lots of different points of time. I lost my way, I know, um, at the end of last year, and it was the reason why I took up a couple of casual jobs. But the important thing is not to feel guilty about it. Like, just go with it. We all have different seasons of life, and I think that we need to acknowledge that and not be so hard on ourselves. Damn it.
That is very true. I think we do need to give ourselves more kindness and compassion. And, I think every day we get the opportunity to start over, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be the beginning of the new year. I mean, we can start today.
So true.
Okay, question number 5. What surprised you most about yourself this year?
My ability to keep it together. No, I think okay. I think one of the things that kind of fed into increasing my confidence has surprised me, and that is around boundaries. And I think that it's really surprised me because I've always been a people pleaser. I always say yes to things. It's really easy for me to say yes to things, even if it means I have to put myself out or rearrange, things in my life to actually fit them in. But I've been really steadfast this year in not saying yes to like extra shifts at work or to invitations, social invitations, or to things that I feel like I have to do. Like, I feel like an obligation is there to volunteer at my children's school. Like I have said no to these things this year. And the reason being is because I'm very aware that my energy suffers when I say, yes to things that are gonna cause late nights or, trying to fit everything in. So I think that that's probably surprised me that I've been able to say no this year and say no with love and with confidence. Yeah.
Which is such an important skill. And I think as women, we are not brought up that way. We are conditioned to be good people pleasers and good girls. And yeah, so that's such an important thing to learn. I would echo that. I feel like I have been able to say no to some things this year that I had been putting off saying no to for quite
Mm,
some time.
mm.
And it's really important, we to make the space to allow good things, other good things to appear.
So true.
So my surprise this year, does it have to be business related? Because it's not.
Nope.
Um, so halfway through the year in June, I went on a retreat and we did a cooking class, and this chef taught us how to make our own pasta. And so for the rest of the year, I've really embraced pasta making.
Wow.
And yeah, and I've really kind of stripped back to scratch some things. Like I've even been making like flatbreads, from scratch, and Friday night's pizza night in our house, and I always make our own pizza bases. And yeah, and my family's really appreciating my making things from scratch surprising plot twist for this year. But I also think it's been a bit of a reflection on capacity.
Yeah.
While the year
Mm,
has been very full, um, family life has felt really, I should touch wood, has felt really kind of easy and solid this year. Like
mm.
everybody's been in a really good place, and I feel like I've had a little bit more capacity to create pasta with love. And So that's been a surprising little moment from this year, little delightful thing.
It surprised me. Like I'm very impressed that you can make your own pasta. We also do pizza nights, usually on Friday nights, and my beautiful hubby makes the bases. It's just those little things sometimes, isn't it? That yeah, bring you joy and bring the family joy as well. Love it. Love it, love it.
Totally. All right. What is one thing you would like to take into the new year with intention, and why does it matter?
I think we've kind of already touched on this, but I think that creating more time and space, I'm really going to be conscious of doing that next year. I'm really assessing what my priorities are and, making sure that I'm living those. I'm not just talking about them, but I'm actually doing them. So, really focusing on my family as I always do, but, sharing my message with other people without losing that connection that I really got from my casual jobs. That was really important to me. The reason why I took them up in the first place to feel connected to other humans again. I think that it probably matters. And this might sound a little deep, I don't know, but I think it matters because we're not here forever. And it's not worth living a life that you're not happy with, and I acknowledge that I'm totally speaking from a position of privilege here. I have the ability to make choices that some others wouldn't, but I think that there's been numerous things in my life. I have a really great friend who I've known for about 5 years through, our daughters, and I've only known her with stage 4 cancer. And
Mhm.
and that's just, like, amazing to me. She shows me, like, every day how important it is to really do things and create memories, make memories, rather than to have the things. Like, some of the things that she does is just phenomenal. Like, she's about to go to, the Laneway Festival, which is a big music festival here and with her daughters, and I just think that that's so cool. It's just so cool to really think about creating those memories and living in the moment. Like I said, I hate to be deep, but just really being present and living in the moment. And maybe that's an age thing as well. I keep coming back to my age, but you know, I've had a lot of life experience and I know what I do and don't want out of life in general. But yeah, I don't think that you can have that beautiful kind of undertone of joy in your life without that clear priorities and the time and the space to execute them. So I think that that's really what I'm going to take into 2026 is that intention of time and space. What about you?
Beautiful.
What about you, Annie? What are you
You
thinking?
you never have to apologize for being deep with me, like, you know who you're talking to, right?
So, yes.
I think that is a very beautiful perspective and a really important one. Um, Look, I probably was thinking that the keeping things really simple,
Mm,
being able to prioritize what's important
yeah.
and taking messy, imperfect action, I think is yeah, probably the intention that I would like to take into next year. I think life can just get so busy and
Mm,
full and noisy, and just really focusing on what's important and what our priorities and our values are, um, and take the action on the stuff that's important to us because we
mm,
don't want to get to the end of 2026 and go, oh, I was really hoping to do that but
mm,
didn't. Like, we need to
yep.
prioritize it. We need to make time and space for it. Yeah, creating the memories. I mean, like you know, my boys are 15 and 17 and getting to that pointy end of, finishing. They're about to go into grade 10 and 12 next
Mm.
year. And, I just feel like we need to take all of the moments and make all of the memories that we can while they're still living in our house.
So important. So important.
All right. Are there any shifts you've made that have made a difference to how you manage your business finances in 2025?
Oh my goodness, Annie, I'm so glad you're asking me this question because it brings a sense of awareness to the things that I have not been doing. I would say that the shifts I've made are not necessarily good shifts in the financial space. I've really taken my eye off the ball when it comes to my finances and living kind of day to day, well, with my business finances, I should say. My personal finances are in order. It is interesting that my business finances are not. Maybe there's something in there, Annie, that I need to work on. Anyway, I think that I used to be very good at looking forward, at kind of planning finances, whereas I've been living more day to day, which is fine, but it's not really because when those expenses kind of spring on you, those yearly expenses, I kind of wasn't ready for them. So it's really something that I've actually let go of this year, and I can see the difference it has made, just generally speaking. So my question to you, Annie, is actually, what would you say to me about that? Because I'm sure that anyone else who's listening who might want to refocus on their finances, what's the best place maybe for us to start?
Well, funny you should ask that question, Mel. What would I say? Today's a great day to start over
Mm,
and just to go, right, okay, well that's been the habits or the whatever so far. And today I'm going to make different choices. And probably first step would just be to have some clarity and to, um, you know, just do a little bit of an assessment on where you're at today and what things you would like to shift and improve.
thanks, Annie. I shall be doing that. And what about you? Has there been anything in the content space, seeing I love content so much, that you've done differently that kind of has, made creating content hopefully easier for you?
Yeah, look, I think once I got back into some content this year, I've made a lot of shifts. I moved my email marketing platform from Active Campaign to Kajabi because I was using Kajabi anyway. You know, it is an investment,
It is.
Kajabi,
Yes, it
and
is.
so I didn't need to spend another $700, I think was the next bill coming up for Active Campaign. So I made the shift. So that feels good. That feels like a good, just to clear things out. You know, there's a lot of history and legacy in that Active Campaign marketing system because I've had it for such a long time. So that felt good. I have been much better at doing a weekly email to my audience.
Yes, you have.
And I have worked on a few strategies just to streamline my podcast creation this year. And, one of my obstacles was me, as usual. I am the roadblock. But especially when it comes to solo episodes, so I love having conversations on the podcast and I find that really easy, but doing solo episodes was much harder. So I've probably embraced AI a lot more just to do some idea generation. And I've actually been producing the solo episodes of the podcast myself because it just makes things a little bit quicker and easier. I have an amazing podcast editor, VA, who is amazing at looking after my podcast and has been for years. But just that process, because I am the roadblock of, of producing the episode, creating the episode, recording the episode, sending it to her, and that turnaround time was not working for me, even though she did it as quickly as possible. I was always leaving things to the last minute. So being able to do that myself is definitely streamlining things a little bit. So I've been a little bit more consistent since I restarted the podcast. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you've been able to identify the fact that, some things weren't working in the process. So, instead of kind of pushing through that and trying to get the episodes out and trying to record them, it's that thought process about what's made it easy is going to make it easier for you. And for you, it was like using AI, which I do as well. I love it. I think it's great for ideation and to refine things. And to, do things yourself as well, rather than necessarily outsourcing it because that's what you're supposed to do. So just
Totally.
finding those things in your content creation process that, really reflect who you are and what your strengths are, I think it really help everyone's consistency. So I love that.
Absolutely. And hopefully this makes you proud. But what I would like to say, if I zoom out a little bit,
Yeah.
is that the shift also has come in that getting clearer on my core message.
Yeah.
So, when you know what you're talking about, it's so much easier to create content around it. And I think I've spent so many years second guessing, what do I know about profit first and what do I know about cash flow and whether my background was enough qualifications to talk about it. But now just getting clearer and trusting in the fact that I can talk about it in the way that I need to talk about it and the people that need to hear it will find me. That has definitely made content creation a bit easier.
Yeah. When it comes from our heart instead of our head, it's always easier, isn't it? Just got to trust it. Got to trust that heart.
100%. Okay, last question.
Radio.
If this year was a playlist, what songs would feature for you?
So I took the approach here. I know that we took slightly different approaches, but I took the approach of songs that maybe described how the year has been. So I've got 5. The first one is Good as Hell by Lizzo. And I like it because it's got a groovy beat and it's really catchy. But even though it's a love song, there is this one line that I love and it's got to take a deep breath, time to focus on you. And I think that is such a great message for me right now, that I need to refocus on myself and, where things are going next year. I think the next one, This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. Well, hey, I love a musical. But, this song is about owning all the parts of your journey. There's not just one journey for us. I think that there is different seasons of life. There's different experiences for us to embrace. It's not always a straight journey. It's like this, wiggly path sometimes. But it's about embracing that and going, yeah, hey, let's run with it. Um, Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. Now, the reason for this song is there's a bit of a funny anecdote. Like there's a line, the chorus goes, "I get knocked down, but I get up again," which kind of represents the kind of weird roller coaster year that I feel like I've had. But um, I, for a very long time, thought that line was, "I get no doubt, but I get over it." So I am known for changing the lyrics. Like the three other people in my family are huge music nerds, and they always have a good laugh at my expense because I get the words mixed up. So I had to include that one. "It's My Life" by Bon Jovi. And once again, there's the chorus in that is pretty poignant. I ain't gonna live forever. I just want to live while I'm alive. So it's really refocusing on what's important and prioritizing those for me next year. And my last one, just because I absolutely love it, is "Man I Need" by Olivia Dean. I love that song. I just love it.
Such a great song.
Mm.
Also on my list.
Which is wild and crazy. How can we have
So
the
funny.
same song on our list?
I think we're very aligned. Um, Such a great song, and as I said to you before, I could spend hours watching people dancing on reels on Instagram to that song. Like, anyway, there's some cracker videos on there. If you haven't seen them, definitely go and watch. Do you know what I've loved is seeing so many different people, whether they're dancers or, you know, tattooed straight muscly men dancing to Olivia Dean's "Man I Need." I just, I just think it appeals to so many different people. I think it fills me with joy and delight, and I love it.
Also.
Mm. My other is probably more of not a particular song, but the Wicked soundtrack, because I saw the first Wicked movie in November last year. And then I've just listened to it all year. And last weekend, I actually saw the second movie, Wicked for Good, that's just come out. But yeah, pretty much every time I cook in my kitchen, I put on the Wicked soundtrack.
I love it.
And I actually was saying that I think maybe my neighbors must know when I'm cooking and having like a cooking sesh because I have Wicked on. And one time this year, I got a text from my son from upstairs in our house going, "Do you think you've listened to the Wicked soundtrack enough today?" And I just replied with, "Define enough." So yes, I know every word of every song. Loved it. Thank you so much for chatting with me today, but also just for being my biz bestie. And I just love you. That is all.
Thank you so much for having this conversation with me, Annie. And, ditto. I think that you are the most amazing, amazing woman. And I really do appreciate the challenges you set me sometimes, the questions that you ask me that challenge me. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you, and I know your listeners do too.
Thank you. That is very lovely of you to say. I love how you embrace that authenticity that you talked about earlier in this conversation, and I think you really do keep things real and transparent, and I love that about you, but you're also so knowledgeable and so wise, and I can totally see how those casual job people think you're a leader.
I'm feeling a little bit hot. Thank you so much for saying those lovely things, Annie, and it's been such a pleasure chatting with you today. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, "Hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now," here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Pop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.